The sky had begun to darken, casting a soft amber hue across the humble home on the outskirts of a quiet town. From the outside, everything looked peaceful, but inside, tension coiled through the air like smoke. You could sense it in the faint clinking of metal, in the quiet sighs escaping Clara's lips as she scrambled in the kitchen. Clara's hands moved quickly, but exhaustion weighed on her face. She'd been on her feet since dawn, helping her son Theo with his school project, doing laundry, and stopping by to check on an elderly woman in their neighborhood who'd taken ill. Dinner was meant to be simple, boiled cassava and grilled chicken. But time had slipped away. She kept glancing at the doorway. Her mind raced. Would Marcus lose his temper again? Was dinner late? Then came the creak of the iron gate. Footsteps. Heavy. Purposeful. Clara's hands shook slightly as she placed the chicken in the pan. The sound of sizzling oil filled the kitchen, but it couldn't drown out the sound of the front door being flung open. Marcus walked in, shirt clinging to his chest, eyes scanning the room. "Where's the food?" His voice was low but sharp. Clara wiped her hands on her apron and stepped into the living room. "Just a few more minutes." You always have excuses," Marcus interrupted, glaring. "What? You're too busy playing hero for other people to remember your own husband." 14-year-old Theo sat silently at the corner table, his books untouched. He kept his head down, hoping to vanish. Marcus marched into the kitchen, sniffing the air. "I bust my back every day, and this is what I come home to? Cold food and cold silence." "I've been trying," Clara whispered, gripping the apron in her hands. "Trying? Don't I deserve better than this?" Before she could reply, his hand cracked through the air. Clara stumbled, nearly dropping the plate. The room fell quiet, except for Theo's sudden cry. "Don't touch her." Marcus paused, guilt flashing through his eyes for a split second, but only that. He muttered something under his breath and stormed into the living room. What none of them knew was that someone had heard it all. Outside, beyond the gate, stood Reuben, Marcus's younger brother, freshly returned from a 2-year deployment. In his dusty military fatigues, with a duffel bag slung over his shoulder, Reuben froze. The sound of the slap, the trembling voice. His expression hardened. He didn't knock. Not yet. Inside, Clara knelt to pick up the fallen dish. Theo rushed to her side. "I'm okay, Mom," he whispered, though his voice quivered. "We'll be okay." She hugged him close, silently promising herself that things would change. Marcus sat in the living room, eyes glued to the screen, but his mind drifted. He didn't feel powerful anymore, just ashamed. But he wouldn't say sorry. Not tonight. Clara served the food quietly. Marcus muttered a half-hearted thanks, chewing without looking up. Theo pushed food around his plate. Outside, Reuben stood still, jaw tight. This wasn't the home he remembered. Something inside had rotted. He made up his mind. Tomorrow, he'd walk through that door. The next morning, the house was silent. Clara was up early, her face puffy from crying. Theo dragged his feet. Marcus woke last, yawning, oblivious, or pretending to be. A knock came at the door. Clara opened it, gasping. "Reuben," she said. He stepped in slowly. "Didn't expect me, huh?" Marcus's eyes widened. "My man, look at you. Back from the army, just like that." He grabbed Reuben into a hug, laughing. Reuben smiled thinly. Theo beamed, rushing to hug his uncle. Reuben ruffled the boy's hair. "Almost taller than me, champ." They gathered around the breakfast table. Marcus chatted loudly, avoiding everyone's eyes. He laughed too hard. Brag about work. Reuben ate quietly, watching. Afterward, Marcus slapped Reuben on the back. "Let's go outside, catch up." Reuben didn't move. "Not yet. I need to speak to Clara." "And Theo." Marcus blinked. "Now." Reuben nodded. "Yes, now." The air tightened. Theo's eyes flicked toward his mother. Clara froze by the sink. Reuben's voice lowered. "I was outside last night. I heard everything. The shouting, the crying, the hit." Silence dropped like a hammer. Marcus's jaw locked. "You think I planned that?" Marcus snapped. "You don't get it. Life here's different. Stress doesn't justify abuse," Reuben said coldly. "Clara is your wife. Theo is your son. Not your servants. Not your enemies." Marcus stood, fists clenched. "You don't know what I carry." Reuben stepped closer. And you think you're the only one who's tired, who's struggling. You don't get to hurt your family and call it pressure. That's not a man. That's a coward. Clara tried to calm them. Please, Reuben. Let's not. No, Reuben said, shaking his head. Clara, stop covering for him. You've protected this man long enough. I've seen war. And what you're living in, this fear, is worse. Theo suddenly stood, voice shaking. I'm scared, Dad. Marcus froze. Clara wrapped her arms around Theo as he cried. He yells, breaks things, hits. I'm scared all the time. Marcus looked at his son like he was seeing him for the first time. Reuben stepped forward. You've got two choices, Marcus. Keep pretending you're the victim, or be the man your family deserves. Later that night, Clara tucked Theo in bed while Marcus sat in the kitchen alone. A list lay before him. Not of groceries. A list of the things he needed to fix. Inside him. Around him. The next morning, Marcus made breakfast. He apologized, really apologized, in front of them both. Reuben watched from the hallway. That day, something began to shift. Not the end, but maybe, finally, the beginning of something better. The days that followed passed with quiet effort. Not perfection, far from it, but the beginnings of something more honest. Marcus didn't magically transform overnight. There were still moments when his voice rose too quickly, or his pride made him flinch from simple truths. But now, when his temper flared, he paused. He breathed. He remembered the look in Theo's eyes and the silence that had once haunted every corner of the house. Clara no longer tiptoed. She spoke a little louder, stood a little taller. She didn't feel safe yet, but she no longer felt invisible. Reuben stayed for another week, watching like a silent guardian, not to interfere, but to remind Marcus that change wasn't a gesture, it was a discipline. On Sunday, they all sat in the backyard for lunch. The same backyard that had once been overgrown and forgotten. Now it was swept clean. A small table had been placed beneath the tree. Clara brought out fresh juice. Theo laughed at a story Reuben told about dodging a stubborn goat in a training camp. Even Marcus chuckled. It wasn't loud or forced. It was real. Later that evening, Reuben pulled Marcus aside. I'm leaving tomorrow. Marcus nodded slowly. I figured. Thank you for everything. Reuben didn't smile. He looked him square in the eye. This isn't about thanking me. It's about not wasting what's left. I know, Marcus replied. I want to be better. Reuben placed a hand on his shoulder. Then prove it. Every single day. That night, after everyone went to bed, Marcus sat at the kitchen table once more. He opened a fresh notebook. At the top of the page, he wrote, Things I will not forget. He listed the sound of Clara's muffled crying, Theo's quiet, broken voice, Reuben's unwavering gaze, the shame, the helplessness, the wake-up call. Then, underneath, he wrote something else. This house will be a home again. The road to healing was still long. Scars remained, but they were no longer hidden, and that alone was a kind of freedom. Marcus began showing up, walking Theo to school, helping Clara cook, asking how she was, and truly listening. Sometimes he still slipped, but every time he came back, apologized, tried again, and slowly the house began to feel lighter. There were still shadows, but now there was also sunlight. Clara started singing again while cooking. Theo left his door open when doing homework. And one day, Clara placed a photo on the wall of all four of them smiling, just days before Reuben returned to base. Above it, a note in her handwriting read, A home is built with love, not fear. That, more than anything, became the new law of the house. They weren't perfect, but they were trying, together. And for the first time in a long time, that was enough.